Hear you play, it makes me say, ooh.
Oh, shoot.
Every time I hear the melody, something inside of me starts to cool. How you makes me wanna groove. She said,
Greetings and welcome to Seniors Matter. I'm your host, Brenda Charles Edwards, and we're, as you know, on Rainier Avenue Radio World, your South Seattle community station. We feature interviews with people that provide services, valuable information for the community. Do you need financial documents notarized? Are you a person that needs documents read to you for clarity or completion? Give me a call at Black Orchid Notary 206-683-2636. Tell me where, I'll meet you there. Well, my guest today is Cathleen MacCaul. She's the Advocacy Director of AARP Washington. And she has so much going on because this organization is so into us, shall I say, as human beings, because there's so many things that are working against us, and AARP is helping to make things change. Kathy, are you there?
Yes, I am. Hi, Brenda.
Hey, girl, how you doing?
Can I still say Happy New Year?
Yes.
Middle of January?
Yes. Most definitely. Most definitely. Boy, you have been busy, but then you're always busy with your position. I just don't know how you do it all.
It has been quite a busy session. So this is a short session for this legislative year. So on a biennium, we have a short and a long. And short session means we have 60 days. And there's numerous bills that are before the legislature. And obviously, AARP has several priority bills as well. But I know we're here to talk about WA Cares.
Well, yes. And then, too, if you are up to it when you exhale later, in a month or two, whatever, could you come back on and talk about some of the other things? Because you have so much information that our people need to know.
Absolutely. Yeah, we have some great consumer bills that really help consumers keep money in their pockets and, helping navigate internal systems, whether it's healthcare or, frauds and scams or what have you. So there's lots of information that we can share and love to do that.
Well, one of the big things, too, is property taxes that I know that people have been talking to me about. So, yes, we'll definitely have to have you come back. Okay, so where do you want to start with this, Kathy?
Well, let's just start by talking about WA Cares. So WA Cares is the long-term care benefit that was passed in 2019 and is now law here in Washington State. And so as of July 1st, 2023, payroll premiums were started collecting. So from all workers here in Washington State, it's a very modest payroll premium of 58 cents for every $100. And that goes into a fund that people can access when they need help with long-term care. So when you need help with the activities of daily living, getting dressed, making meals, transportation, showering, etc. that you have access to a $36,400 benefit, and that will adjust with inflation. So it could be, upwards to over $60,000 by the time payroll deductions have started. So for everyone working, and we AARP also worked on the bill to make sure that older adults, and people in their 50s and 60s who are continuing to work and maybe are getting close to retirement, have an option to pay into the premium and still get a vesting year so that they can actually use the benefits. So maybe they pay in for 2 years and then they retire. So they would actually have 2 years of premiums that they could draw down for their long-term care needs. So it's an incredible benefit. But it was challenged through an initiative process, an initiative to the legislature, and it was just certified. The signatures were just verified and certified yesterday by the Secretary of State. So there will be an initiative on the ballot that basically tries to take away this benefit from everyone, which is just crazy.
Do they have a replacement in mind for it?
Well, they don't yet. So the legislature is looking at a couple possible bills. And walk cares, I don't think consumers are going to say, yeah, take away walk cares, because it's already a benefit people have. It already exists. The first people potentially to use the benefit would be in 2026. And so I think we need to have, a very strong campaign saying, no, don't take away our benefit. Right. This is ours. We're paying into this. Long-term care, Walk Cares is about long-term care. A lot of people don't want to talk about long-term care. They don't want to think about getting old, and heaven forbid, they don't want to think about that they're going to get sick or that they're going to need help or assistance. Right. I think as Washingtonians, we're all fiercely independent and, think that we can soldier it on our own, even as we age. And the reality is that 70% of all of, everyone here in the state is going to need some type of long-term care in the future. But the challenge is that they have not saved for it. Some, rare exceptions. I think it's less than 10% of the population has long-term care insurance. And a lot of people got great long-term care policies, and there's fabulous long-term care policies, and there's a role, but they're expensive. And for a lot of folks, that's outside of their budget. And I was talking to a friend, who's in her mid-50s, and she tried to get a long-term care plan, and it was going to be over $350 a month.
Whoa.
And it's because she has a pre-existing condition, and the insurance companies don't want to have that risk. So they're going to charge a higher premium. So that's a lot of money. Yes, if you're younger, in your 20s and 30s, that you can lock in a rate, do it. It's, and you can get a commitment for the type of care that you think you're going to need in the future. I think it's a great option. But for 90% of us here in Washington State, it's too expensive. It's unpredictable. Walk Cares is something that will be there for you when you need it, when and if, just like any other insurance. So, it kind of frustrates me because, we pay auto insurance with the hope that we're never going to have to use it. But it's great to know that we have it in case we get into an accident. Same thing with homeowners insurance. We pay into homeowners insurance hoping, that we'll never have a need to use it, that there's a fire, a flood, a tree falls on your house, what have you. But it's always good to know. And the same thing with this Walk Cares is, when you need help and assistance, and usually it's a family that goes into a crisis because mom or dad has slipped and fell, broke their hip, had a heart attack or stroke, some major emergency, some cataclysmic incident has happened. And it's just great for family caregivers and the individuals themselves to know that there's at least some resource available. And Walk Cares will be there. when they need that help because they can't manage the activities of daily living by themselves.
Well, it's interesting when you talk about the caregiving part, because the caregivers are the ones that, especially family caregivers, are going to be the ones that are doing all the work because they can't afford to get outside help.
Exactly.
Because it's so expensive.
Exactly. So
I've been there. I know.
And I'm on my own caregiving journey as well with my mother, who's 86 years old and has dementia. And, I feel very fortunate and very blessed that I work for AARP and I can work from home.
Right.
But I still need, we have, and she has too much money in her pension to qualify for Medicaid. So she is, middle class.
Mm-hmm.
And so she's not going to qualify for Medicaid. But to pay for an in-home care provider, it's $45 an hour.
Yep.
Who has that money?
I don't know.
And,
Not me.
it just makes it really, really challenging to, help care for people. And family caregivers, I talk to a lot of family caregivers. I was just talking to a waitress the other day, and she works, basically minimum wage and tips. And she said, I don't know what I would do if I had to care for my mom. She's like, because I would not be able to work from home to care for her. And I said, well, that's what's so great about WA Cares is that money could actually be used to pay you to care for your mother. So that if you had to leave work for a short period of time, so past when you could access FMLA or the state FMLA payments or any other kinds of resources that your family might have, you can actually use WA Cares as well to pay a family caregiver. And so AARP is continuing to fight for that, to make sure that we can have, and we've been fighting for this since day one, because we know we have 820,000 unpaid family caregivers currently in the state.
That's
and
amazing.
It's mostly women. And women who are taking off time from work, jeopardizing their own retirement savings because they're not investing anymore in Social Security. They're not making payments into their own retirement account to care for a loved one. And so WA Cares really is a game changer for family members who are struggling or will be struggling in the future to care for a loved one. So it's really frustrating when we see this initiative, because it was, backed by a man who has, easily $6 million to put into a campaign to gather the signatures.
Wow.
I don't have $6 million. We don't have $6 million to put into a campaign. And it just was problematic. They went, and they were very aggressive. At least what I've heard from, people who were solicited to sign the petitions. And again, I don't think they fully understand the ramifications and impacts that this initiative could have on WA Cares and taking away this benefit. So I just encourage people, vote no when you see this on your ballot in 2024 in November. Protect your benefit. This is yours. This is your money you're investing into your own long-term care.
That sounds like something else that we've invested in, like Social Security. Yes.
The irony, Brenda, the irony is not lost on you, and it's not lost on me. When Social Security was first enacted, there were the naysayers who were saying, oh, this is, no, we don't need Social Security. Why are we doing this? And there was a lot of opposition. It was interesting because I can't remember who sent to me a whole bunch of links to press coverage in the 60s when Social Security and Medicare passed. And people didn't like it. And now, we look back on what would we do without Social Security? And,
absolutely.
And even though it's still a modest benefit, it's $1,632, I believe, here in Washington State is the average Social Security. So some are higher, some are lower, but $1,600 is not a lot of money, but it it is what a lot of people live on if they don't have other forms of retirement savings, or they don't have any other pension income, or, other resources to draw from. So, I mean, what would we do without Social Security? I think that's the question. What would we do without WACARES? And Washington State's the first in the nation, and there's a lot of other states that are watching what we're doing right now, and will most likely, we will weather this initiative process, and I think the other states will move forward with very similar legislation as well.
Well, we know we need it, and it just boggles my mind sometimes how people come up with things, and then they're the people that have the money that can afford it, and we're the ones that need it. And it's like, how does big money get to make these decisions? And I realize he's not making the decision, but he's put it out there for people to oppose.
Right. And I think, if you ask anybody, do you want to pay taxes? I think everybody's going to say no. We don't. Yeah. But I think people are smart. If they know where that money is going, and that it's not just going into some general fund that's going to be spent, willy-nilly, if people know where that money is going, and they know how it's going to be used, and they recognize that the money that's being collected is going towards long-term care and an individual's long-term care. It's not like this money is not going into a general fund. It's going specifically into the long-term care trust. And we made sure to write legislation that would make sure that that money could never be pulled out of that account for some other reason in the future. And so, again, I don't think they fully understand, that this is people's benefit, and this is people making a decision on, utilizing their own resources for their long-term care. And it could be paying a family caregiver, like I mentioned, or building a wheelchair ramp, or putting in grab bars in your bathroom, just so that you can age in place. That has been a main focus for AARP for decades, is, the ability to age in place, and age in your home, age in your community. And for a lot of older adults, that can be challenging when, transportation, they can no longer drive, or, in the case of my mother with dementia, just reminding her to take her medication keeps her out of the emergency room. So.
Is someone staying with her?
Me.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
I live with my mother in Tacoma. So my home is up in Woodinville area, and I pretty much am living out of suitcases at my mom's house, and I've been here for over a year and a half. It'll be 2 years in July. And caring for her, because again, it's just so expensive.
Oh, but, I know, because I remember when my dad was in that situation, and they did not qualify for assistance of more than 20 hours a month. And that was ridiculous, because, as you well know, we need respite care and time when we're dealing with taking care of our loved ones as a caregiver. You got to step away.
It is the hardest work I think I've ever done. I raised 2 daughters, and I think it's harder than that, because there's so many complex medical, issues. Like the other day, her cat scratched her, and if somebody gets a cat scratch, you put a little Bactine on it, and it's good. And but for my mom, she had the cat scratch. She put a Band-Aid on, which I guess had some latex. She has an allergy to latex.
Oh no.
So then, the scratch gets infected. Then you putting gauze on and making sure that, it's gauze and not a Band-Aid.
Right.
And, or, she just forgets her medication, to take her medication, and just to remind her, or now we just went to the eye doctor and we got to put ointment on her eye every night. And, making sure she's having nutritious meals. And then her pulmonologist is wanting to make sure she's getting enough exercise and walking. And when it's cloudy and cold, she doesn't want to walk outside. So it is hard work. And that was the real recognition for Walk Cares. Walk Cares is about giving families, it's not the be all and all solution. It is not a hugely adequate benefit, but it will give families a breather, to like form a plan, to know that they have some resources available to them when their family goes into crisis, when they have a long-term care need.
Absolutely. Because I know we asked around to different friends, and do you know anybody that's a caregiver? What are their rates? And we did luck upon this one lady who was really, really good with my dad, and she wasn't very expensive. And we had her come in once a week for 5 hours, and that helped my mom because dad's at home, and my brother and I were taking shifts, and my husband was involved too, taking care of dad until he went into a facility.
Yep.
And but that's like, dang, I looked at the money, and when, because I did all the paperwork, and when I got back the letter saying that, well, you make too much money, meaning my parents combined, their retirement, and I'm like, what the hey? And so my dad was, he passed 4 years ago. He was 96. And it was I just think back of all the things that we went through to take care of him and to let him have as normal of a life as he could. It's like, that was a lot of work. And I guess because people don't really think about, and maybe they haven't had the experience, that Walk Cares is not going to hurt you. It's definitely going to help you, even a little bit, just helping with caregivers or being able to do respite. Go away somewhere, just even if it's to a hotel in your city.
Right.
Even to a friend's house.
Exactly. And yeah, my daughters have been incredibly helpful because I've had to travel for work, and we weren't able to, find an in-home care agency, and it was going to be so prohibitively costly to have somebody spend, 4 to 5 nights, 24-hour care,
right,
for my mom, and she didn't want it.
Of course
She wanted to have a family member. She wanted my daughter, and my daughter, fortunately was able to be here. She, at the time, was not working. And so we were able to pay her a small amount of money just to help out. And it was just, it gave me so much reassurance, that my mom was going to be okay.
Right.
And that my daughter was there. She knows her, she loves her. And, we weren't.
She remembers her. That's a key right there when you're dealing with someone that has dementia. They may not remember you.
No, and I find that my mom every once in a while will ask me, do you know? She asked me the other day. She's like, "Now, who's your mother again? How do I know her?" So it's challenging, and And here's a woman that raised me, and we've always been very close. She moved here with my dad to Washington State from California when I relocated here with my husband and my family. And she came up here just because we've always been so close. And so it's hard. And as a caregiver, some days you just want to be the daughter again. You don't want to be the caregiver, right, the care provider, the chef, the valet, the shuttle service. You would just want to be the daughter.
Absolutely. I get it.
And that's what Walk Cares. Yeah. Walk Cares is, again, it just gives families that breather. And it's now this initiative, they want to take this benefit away from people. And AARP is going to be part of, a very strong campaign to protect this benefit. And we are not going to let it get taken away.
So Kathy, what is the reason that they're saying that they want to take this away from us?
Because they say it's a tax, but it's a payroll premium. So it's not a regressive tax. It's based on, how much you earn. They also say the benefit is not adequate, but yet we did all the actuarial modeling. We met with DSHS. What's the average amount of money, even the state spends on Medicaid? What's the length of time? What are the services that they need? And so the people that are critics, they have no background, no professional skills in this area. Some of the best and brightest minds, not only just at AARP, but within DSHS. Ben Vecti, who's the program director, is the most brilliant person. And he's been working on this type of program in other countries who've already embraced it and have already adopted it. And we're just happy to be the first state in the nation that is working on this solution. And that's because we have such an incredible system for home and community-based services.
Wow. Well, that's interesting. But I believe that if everybody gets out and votes, that they will not let this go, because the majority of the people, I'm sure, that are voters know, and especially now after listening to you, how important this is. And we fought hard to get it, and we can't just lose it. It hasn't been here that long. We can't lose it. So
Right.
If you're a registered voter, please make sure that you get out the vote, because we need you and all the other citizens that are going to, you're all going to experience this. You're not going to get away from it. You're going to experience it on some level. Trust me. Kathy, my time is almost up. When you feel up to it again, please come back, because there's the property tax, not tax, but for seniors getting the exemption. We need to talk about that too. And there's just a number of other things, but I know you're really busy. I thoroughly appreciate the fact that you gave me some of your time, and you're in my thoughts and prayers for the things that you're doing. And I just want to say to my community out there, thank you for listening. My guest has been Cathleen MacCaul, AARP Washington Advocate Director. Thank you to Patrice Isley, who does my music. And remember, the Black History Museum will begin at the Columbia City Theater next Friday. It is Friday the 1st through the 29th. Have a great weekend. Be safe and live your life like it's golden. Kathy, I will be talking with you soon.
Thank you, Brenda.